Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be looking at positive and negative numbers again, looking at them on a number line to compare them, but also using that number line and understanding to start developing number sentences. And we are trying to build our fluency to move to adding and subtracting positive and negative numbers. So let's be on our way. For Do Now, we're asked to compare following pairs of numbers using the less than symbol, the greater than symbol, or the equal sign. So in the first problem, we're asked to compare -4 and -5. So in order to do so, I'm going to haul out a number line because I think that's a good visual until we get a little bit farther along, and you're welcome to draw number lines in your notebook. That's always a good strategy, or quiz or test if you're taking one. And let's take a look at where these numbers lie. So -4 is over here and -5 is over here. Now they're both negatives. However, one of them is closer to being a positive value, or really it's even closer to being 0, right? So -4 is the closer one to positives. It's kind of like what's a greater situation? To owe someone $4 or to owe someone $5? Well, yeah, you owe people money in both situations. However, this one you owe less, so that's a better situation and that's a better value. So -4 should be the greater number. So we need to use the appropriate symbol. Remember, the greater number, the symbol always is open towards that greater number. So we're going to use that symbol. And you should be thinking to yourself, how do I say that symbol? Well, this one kind of makes like an L for less than, and this one doesn't, so that would make this the greater than symbol. So we read this as -4 is greater than -5. Okay. Let's look at number 2. Number 2 is asking us to compare -4 1/3 to -4.3. So we have to be careful here. At first glance, you might think, oh, they're the same. I know that. But we have to be careful. For -4 1/3, we can turn into a decimal to really get a better understanding of what its value is. So we could do long division, 1 divided by 3, and if we do this correctly, we'll find out that it turns out to be 0.3 repeating if we were to follow out that long division. So this is really -4.3 repeating. So we are not comparing the two same numbers. They're not the same. They're very close to being the same, but they are not the same. So we cannot say an equal sign here. -4 1/3 or -4.3 repeating. A third would be somewhere right around here, right? And then -4.3. This one wouldn't have all those other 3, 3, 3, 3 infinitely. So it's a little bit not on the way to being -5. So it would fall. If I was to take this number, I would put it just a hair to the right-hand side, like right over there. Okay, and again, one of the numbers is closer to being positive value or closer to 0, so that is the greater value. In this case, -4.3 is greater than this one. However, it's written in the sentence, so we need to read it from left to right. -4 1/3 is less than -4.3. Okay. Down here we have some symbols, and you'll notice that there are lines around the -5 and -4. So you should be asking yourself, what do those mean? Well, as discussed in class, they're absolute value lines. An absolute value just means how far is a number from 0 on a number line. So -5. How far is -5 from 0? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Its value is 5. It's 5 units away. This is saying same thing, absolute value of 4. How far away is 4 from 0 on a number line. 1, 2, 3, 4. Its value is 4. So we are now comparing these simplified values, or, equivalent values, let's put it that way. Which one has a greater value, 5 or 4? 5 does. So the absolute value of negative 5 is greater than the absolute value of 4. Okay. Down here we have negative 6, and we're comparing it to negative 72 over 12. And remember that this means negative 72 divided by 12, which is 6, but a negative divided by a positive is a negative. So we have two equivalent values. They're equal. All right. Let's bring a little geography into this lesson. What country is this? Well, we know it's really close to the North Pole, so we need to think of countries that are really cold. And this region of the world is Scandinavia, within the continent of Europe. And some people were tossing out in class Iceland, which is in this area. Some people said Ireland, England, Germany, not too far away. Some people said Sweden and Denmark and Norway getting closer. This country is Finland. Finland. And again, very cold. So the Finns came up with a solution to that. They created these nice places. And you should be wondering, what is that? Well, it's a sauna. Saunas have heating machines that make the room really, really, really hot. And if you live in a place that's routinely negative 30 degrees outside, it would be nice to go somewhere warm and relax every now and then, right? So saunas get between 160 and 200 degrees, 210 degrees Fahrenheit. Maybe there are ones that get even warmer. Those of you who have parents that go to the gym and exercise, these are really popular to use after an exercise. How come? Here's a bunch of reasons. Good to relieve stress, gets rid of a lot of toxins, cleanses the skin, deeper sleep, so on and so forth. So let's check out a video it's a brief animated video just to kind of connect to what we've been doing.
Inside the sauna, it's 100 degrees. But real sauna goers like it even hotter. So Mikey throws some water on the basket of hot rocks by the stove. Phew! Watch that thermometer reading rise by 20 degrees. Looks like Mike's had enough. Wow, he's really sweating now. Ah, that's better. It's about negative 20 degrees outside. That'll cool you off pretty fast, old buddy. Wow, Mikey, now you're really shaking. I think you've had enough of the temperature extremes. Let's take a walk and get you a sweater and a nice cup of hot chocolate. Think of a thermometer as a number line. How much of a temperature change did Mikey experience?
Okay. So that video was just a quick kind of demonstration of the number line and positive and negative numbers. So again, inside the sauna was 120 degrees, outside the sauna was negative 20. We can model that situation on a number line like this. So my question to you all is, what do you think n represents in the number? And if you remember from class, if you were in class, we said that n represented the difference in temperature from the sauna, this whole blue line, to the outside temperature. So 120 degrees all the way in degrees to negative 20 was what n represented. And we're going to keep that in mind moving forward. So as we move, Whenever we're moving to the right on the number line, we're increasing, or we're getting bigger, or we're adding. Whenever we're moving to the left on the number line, that represents a decrease, getting smaller, or subtracting. So let's keep that in mind. There's this town in South Dakota that I never heard of, so I had to go on Google Maps and look it up. And here it is. It's over here. We're here in New York, pretty much the southern tip of New York, and Spearfish, South Dakota, is over here. A little more north, a little colder. And something special about this town was in January 22nd, 1943, the temperature outside was -4 degrees, and it went to 45 degrees in 2 minutes. 2 minutes, we went from -4 to 45. 45 is still cold, but from -4 to +45 in 2 minutes, that's at a world record. That happened so fast. So I posed the question to the class, how much did the temperature change in those 2 minutes? So if you were absent from class, you can think about that now, put this on pause, think about it. If you weren't, then let's discuss. So again, you can use a number line to help with this visualization. You were at -4 here, and we went all the way up to +45. So we were going from here in this direction all the way to 45. How many degrees was that? Well, from here, since this is -4, right? From here to 0 was 4 degrees. So let's just put a little 4 up here. And then from 0 to 45 was 45 degrees. So if you put that total distance together, we got 4 and 45, makes 49 degrees of temperature change. And since we were moving to the right, it was a positive 49, an increase. Now here's where we start building our deeper understanding. What algebraic equation could we find using n? Now we know that equations use an equal sign. That's what makes an equation an equation. If there's an equal sign, it's an equation. Algebraic includes variables, among other things. So let's see, where do we start? We started at 4, -4, and something happened, I'll leave a little space there, and we wound up at 45 degrees. Now what was that thing that happened? We later found out that it was this happened, but for now we're just going to say n happened. Okay? But was it an increase or was it a decrease? Since the temperature increased, we need to put an appropriate symbol in here to show that increase. Let's add a plus sign. So our equation could look like -4 plus some temperature change increased, and then we wound up at 45. That's our algebraic equation to represent this situation. And if we solve for this, add 4 to both sides, we would get n equals 49 again. We'll be developing that later on. So when we're talking about temperature and other things, but let's use the example of temperature, the sign tells you what direction the change is going. How could you represent the temperature dropping 4 degrees? Well, dropping. Does that mean it's going up or does that mean it's going down? And we should know dropping means down. So whenever we're moving to the left on a number line or a thermometer going down, we're talking about a negative number. How much of a negative number? 4 degrees worth. -4. Well, what about if our temperature is increasing or going up 10 degrees? We can say 10. And if it was an equation or something like that, we could be specific and say +10. Okay. If the current temperature is 5 degrees, what change in temperature would result in a final temperature of -25 degrees? This is very similar to our spearfish example. Again, if you are someone who's visual like I am, take out a number line, right? Take out a number line. This one doesn't go to negative 25, but we can still use it, or the one you make, you could still use to go to negative 25. So we could start at 5, and then we're going to go all the way to negative 25. I'm just going to put this mark because it would be somewhere down there on the left, right? So it would be 5 units to get to 0. This is 5. And from 0 to negative 25 would be 25 units. How many units or degrees did we travel in total? 5 here, 25 here, together makes 30 degrees. Now, we started at 5 and we decreased our temperature. So how do we need to express this number to show that decrease? We need to put a negative sign. The change in temperature was negative 30 degrees. So we could write 5 plus some number equals negative 25. We could have also written 5 minus some value, same thing, equals negative 25. In either situation, this should be 30, or up here, if we were to write it in, it would be a negative 30. Same thing. Adding a negative value is the same as subtracting a positive value. Okay. And then your task was, you could, if you moved along fast enough, you were allowed to get started on your homework, working with your group in groups of 4. A lot of people were able to get partway through, get this accomplished. However, you will be finishing this for homework. So thanks again for watching.